we're going to work through the addition of fractions with unequal denominators. And this will be pretty quick. I'll just do this top example right here, and we'll get into how to find the average of two fractions after that. Now, if you remember, fractions have to have common denominators, because if you're adding 3/4 and 5/4, that's easy. You just count up how many fourths you have. But if you're adding 7/2 and 8/5, well, those are different things. We have to get them in the same terms. So what this involves is changing what the fraction looks like without actually changing what the fraction is. So I'm going to multiply this by something called a crazy 1. Okay, it's going to be something that has the value of 1, but it won't actually be the number 1. It's going to be something a little different. And I need to do that for 7/2 and 8/5. So you think to yourself, what kinds of common denominators might I use here? There's a lot of common denominators. A lot of numbers would work. But what you often find is there's an answer that will always be right. Maybe it's not the simplest, but it will be quick. And that's simply to use the denominator from the other fraction in here. Okay, so 5/5. I know that's going to work. And then likewise, this denominator I can use over here, 2/2. Now I think if you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, what's 5 divided by 5? That's 1. 2 divided by 2, that's 1. These are crazy ones. This is what I mean by something that is 1, but it doesn't quite look like 1. It just looks a little crazier. So now you do some fraction multiplication. 7 times 5 is 35, and 2 times 5 is 10. And then 8 times 2 is 16. 5 times 2 is 10. So now look, we have those common denominators we want. 35 tenths plus 16 tenths. Well, how many tenths do you have? You just have 35 plus 16 of them. That is, I think 51 tenths. There we go, 51 tenths. So there's our answer. Okay, B. So we're going to take that idea of fraction addition and figure out how to deal with the average of two fractions. And most people actually know how to do the average of things just fine. They may not realize it. But let's say you got two test scores. One of them was a 0 and the other was 100. Okay, well, everyone instinctively knows what their average is. If it's a 0 and a 100, your average would be 50. It'd be right in the middle. So what's actually going on when you do that? What you're doing is a little formula in your head. You may not think of it this way, but this is how it actually works. You're taking 1/2 of two numbers added together. Well, in this case, your test scores are 3/4 and 5/2. Okay, 3/4 and 5/2. You add those together, and then you average them by dividing it by 2. Well, it's going to require a couple steps here. So first we have to add them together. And right now they are not common denominators, so I'm going to get them to be common denominators by multiplying by a crazy 1, just like I did earlier. And that crazy 1, again, I'm not picking the best crazy 1. I'm just picking something that's definitely going to work. It's the denominator of the other fraction. So 3/4 I multiply by 2/2, and 5/2 I multiply by 4/4. So what do we get here? I get 6/8 plus 5 times 4, that's 20. 20/8. So this becomes, I'm keeping that 1/2 on the outside, still working inside the parentheses. This is 26/8. And that, if you carry through the multiplication now that I'm done with the addition on the inside of the parentheses, is going to be equal to 26/16. That's my average. Now, if you want to simplify that, you can. You would simplify that by factoring out. Well, what's 26? Think of this as a factor tree. Oh, it's 2 times 13. And what's 16? Well, that's 2 times 8. And you see these 2's cancel out. And what you get, if you want to simplify this fraction, you don't have to, but you get 13/8. Now, either of these things is right, okay? 26/16 or 13/8 is going to be fine. But that's the important part about averaging. It's this formula right here that I want you to remember. Average is just 1/2 of the sum of two things.